In this video, we're going to go through on Chun Public School, Primary 5, Term 3 Weighted Assessment 2024 in Math. So let's get started on the first question. First question says, find the value of 4.8 divided by 600. Express your answer as a decimal. Okay, before I go through this, I just want to share a bit about how, we can, understand a bit of division. So 4, right? Then we have divide, okay, by 200, okay, is the same as 4, right? In this case, divided by, okay, it's not this, 4 divided by 100 divided by 2, right? In this case over here, I'm just going to put here 2 and put divide by 100, okay? So I just want to share you this, right? Because 4 divided by 200 is basically, in this case, if I were to show you the calculator, 200 is 0.02, right? 0.02. Okay, so 4 divided by 2, okay, essentially is, okay, in this case, I will just say 2, right, equal to 2. Then we have the divide by 100. Okay, so this is the same. All right, so we're going to use this method in order for us to make this thing a little bit easier for us to do. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is essentially we want to break this down. Okay, so it's equal to, so we have 4.8, okay, and then we have the divide, okay, by 600. So 600 is basically 6, and then it's the same as divide by 6, which is also divided by 100. Okay, so now we know that this is a little bit easier. So 4.8 divided by 6, then this will be 0.8, right? And then we divide it by 100, and then this will become, so if you remember, when we were to divide anything by 100 or multiples of tens or 100 or 200, right? What we can do is that we can move the decimal place. So you need to count the number of zeros. So in this case, we have 1 and 2 zeros. So that means we need to put a decimal place 2 places to the left, right? So that means in this case over here, we're going to put the decimal place, one more and two more. So the decimal place will be here, and this will be the answer over here. So 0.008. So in this case, the answer to this is 0.008. Okay, and that's the answer to this question, 0.008. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 2. Express 30.05 in grams. So to just give a recap, 1 kilogram is equal to how many grams? 1000 grams, right? So kilo means 1000. So in this case, 30.0, not 20, 30.05 kilograms is equal to basically 30.05 times 1000. Okay, and this is equal to, so for this, what we need to do is we need to push the number, the decimal place 3 zeros, because in this case we have 3 zeros for 1000, right? So if I were to make a text over here, 30, then I'll just put space 0, 5, right? So then we have, what do you call this dot over here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to push the dot, okay, 3 spaces to the right. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now this dot over here will be moved to this place. And since we have an empty space over here, we will put the text or the number 0. And this is the answer, 30,050. So in this case, this will be 30,050 grams. Okay, so that's it. So that's the answer. So the answer is 30,050 grams in this case over here. Alrighty. Okay, oops, a bit too big. Don't need the grams as well. Then you can also remove the space, right? So this should work. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Question 3. So question 3 says round 4.187 to the 2 decimal place. Okay, so which one is the 2 decimal place? Okay, not 9787. Okay, so the 2 decimal place in this case is this one, right? 2 decimal place is the number 8. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to see whether 7 is 5 or more. So in this case over here, 7, right, is 7 is 5 or more. So that means we round up. Okay, so in this case, we round up. So basically what we'll do is just plus 1 to the number 8 in this case over here, right? Make it a little bit small, right? So then we will have the curly equal sign to make it a little bit easier for us to do. So 4.1 is equal to 4.19. Okay, so in this case over here, to do, is it bold? Okay, so the answer is 4.19, right? So let's write it here, 4.19 in this case over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 4, right? So question 4 says express 0.025 as a percentage. So 0.025, if we were to express as a fraction first, what does it look like? Okay, so essentially, to just give you a recap, how does this look like? So you can, just recap yourself. So 25, let's put out of 100. Okay, so that means this will essentially look something like this, right? 25, that means it is 0.25, right? So it is out of 100, this will be 0.25. Why? Because we count the number of zeros. And then after that, if I were to, put here, then 25. And then we all know that that's the decimal place after that to signify this a whole number. Since it's 2 places, so what we're going to do is 1, 2 places, and we move the decimal place here, and that's why it is 0.25 in this case over here. Okay, so but the thing is, it's not the same, right? This is 0.025, this is not 0.25. So this is very close but not close enough. So what we're gonna do is, what if we change this to the denominator, right? Change this to 1000 instead, right? So let's see if this is correct. So let's try and count the number of zeros. 1, 2, 3. So 3 zeros, right? So then now we can just move the decimal place 3 times to the left. So 1, 2, and then 3. So now the decimal place will be moved over here. Since there's an empty space before the decimal place that rhymes, then what we can do is we can put the number 0 here as well, right? And then basically it will become 0.025. So that means in this case, 25 out of 1000 is equal to 0.025. Okay, so now we know that the 20, so basically 0.025, whoops, okay, let me group this. So 0.025 is equal to 25 out of 1000 in this case over here, right? Okay, now we know this is the case. The next thing is we can convert any fraction to a percentage by just multiplying by 100. So we can just do this, right? And then we can just say times 100, right? Like this, right? And basically what we can do is we can cancel it out. So we can cancel the 2 zeros and the 2 zeros over here. So then what is 25 times, what is 25 divided by 10? Okay, so this is percentage. Okay, so what is 25 divided by 10? Is basically, if you remember, is 2.5, right? So 2.5%. So the answer to this is 2.5%, right? So the simpler way is to just have but that's like a long way. So the another simpler way, to be honest, is just to multiply the what do you call this, the decimal by 100. Okay, and you get in this case 100. It is, if you calculate the number of zeros, it is 1020. So the decimal place will go from 1 2, and the new decimal place is in between 2.5. Okay, so that means in this case over here it's actually 2.5% as well. Okay, same, right? It's the same thing. Okay, so we can put 2.5% in this case over here. Alrighty, let's move on to the next question. Question 5. Out of 50 customers, 37 of them were males. What percentage of the customers were male? Okay, so basically, if you want to know a percentage of something, you first want to get the total, right? So usually, in this case, the total is 50, right? And then what we want over here, right, is we want to get the thing that we want to represent as the percentage. Okay, so it will become 37 out of 50, right? So 37 out of 50, then what we can do is to just, in a way, multiply this, right, times 100%, right, in this case over here, right? So to simplify this, we can cancel this out. So we can cancel 50 and we can cancel 100. So 100 divided by 50, this will become 2, right? So basically we have 37 times 2, and the answer to this is 74% in this case over here. And that's it. So the answer is 74%. Okay, that's the answer to this question, 74%. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 6. A machine makes 720 packets of noodles in 30 minutes. How many packets of noodles can a machine make in 1 minute? So, in essence, what we can do is that we say 30 minutes, it produces 72 packets, right? So, 1 minute, how do we get from 30 to 1 minute? Basically, we just divide, right? So, we divide, okay, by 30, right? So, it becomes 1 minute. So, that means this 720 will also divide by 30 as well, right? So 720 divided by 30. So we can cancel out the zeros. So remove the 0 over here, remove the 0 over here as well. Okay. And then we can do the division of 72 divided by 3. Okay. So let's do that. All right. So we have this. Let's draw our workings. And then write down 72 divided by 3. Okay. So first thing is we want to know if the first number 7, let's make a space. Okay. We want to know the 7 can be divided by 3, like close enough, right? Which is we can just minus 6. So how to get 6 is we get 2 in this case over here. 2. Okay. And then this will leave us with 1. So 7 minus 1 is 1. And then we can bring down the 2 as well. Okay. So is 12 a multiple of 3? Yes, it is, right? So we can actually minus 12. Okay. So minus 12, and 12 is basically 4 times 3. Okay. So 2 and 4. And there you go. You get, in this case, 0 noise. So that means 32 divided by 3 is 24. So that means the answer to this is 24 packets. Okay, so 24 in this case over here. Alrighty, let's move on to the next question. Question number 7. Okay, question 7. 2 marks question. Okay, a piece of string measuring 1 meter is cut into 8 equal smaller pieces. What is the length of each smaller pieces? Give your answer in the nearest centimeter. So centimeter, basically, we just need to convert this 100 meter to centimeter. Okay, so 1 meter, right? So maybe you might made this mistake, which you think, okay, it's 1000 centimeter. No, 1 meter is not 1000, but 100 centimeters. Okay, now we want to know how much is one equal small pieces. So we have 100, and then we divide it by 8. Okay, so we want to do the workings for this. So 100 divided by 8. So you can do the workings. Let me just put it on the left instead. Okay, let me just put it here. Okay, let me just copy this and paste this over here. Okay, so we have 100 divided by 8. Okay, so if you've done similar, if you've done division by this 100 divided 8 before, you probably know the answer. But for those who don't know, we will, what do you call this? We'll go through. Okay, so 100, so 1 cannot be by 8 because it will give us a negative. So in a way, we just leave a space over here. So we don't do anything over here, right? Okay, now let's go to 10. Can 10 minus 8? Yes, we can. Okay, so we have 10 minus 8 in this case over here, right? 10 minus 8. And this will give us 2, right? So 8 is just 1, right? So 1 times 8 is 8. So can 2 minus 8? No, right? So we need to bring down the number 0 as well. 20. Okay, so for 20, what is the closest multiple of 8 that we can minus off 20? So if you have answered 16, then you're right. Not 24, 16. So that means this one will be 2. Okay, so and then lastly, we'll have the line over here. So 20 minus 16, this will give us 4, right? The thing is that 4 cannot be minus 8 as well. So in a way, we have to put decimal place. Okay, so we need to call for the decimal place. Then we will add 0 at the end. So 4.0, or for t, we can minus 8. Yes, we can, right? So what we can do is we can minus, right, 40 in a sense, right? In this case over here. All right, 40. So let me just move these things up over here. So we have more space. So 40 is basically like this, right? Pop, pop, oops, right? And then this will give us 0. Okay, there you go. And then 40 is basically 12.5. Okay, so for 100 divided by 8, this will be 12.5 in this case over here. So the answer to this is 12.5? No, right? So in this case, we need to give your answer correct to the nearest centimeter. So centimeter, other words, right? It's basically whole number. Okay, so we need to give your answer correct to the nearest whole number. So we need to see 12.5. So the whole number, which is 12 over here, right? So we need to make sure that this over here is rounded up to the nearest whole number. Okay, and since the number before 12, 2, so nearest whole number is basically nearest ones lah, right? Okay, so is 5 5 more is 5 5? Yes, so we can round up to 2, right, in this case. So what we can do is we will round this up, okay, to 13. Okay, and that's the answer. It's 13 centimeters. All right, let me just unbold this. So this is 13 centimeters over here. Alrighty, let's move on to next question. Question 8. All right. Okay, so the total mass of 6 identical packets of noodles is 2.85 kilograms. What's the mass of 2 identical packets of noodles? Okay, so let's write it down. So it says here 6 packets is equal to 2.85 kilogram. And then 2 packets, okay, I need to put the word S, right, is equal to, so what do we need to do? Okay, so in this case, we need to, right, divide it by So how do we get from 6 to 2? We divide it by 3. Okay, since we divide by 3, that means we need to have 2.85, right? Divided by 3. Okay, so in this case, let's do the workings again. All right, so let's do the workings. All right, so 2.85. So 2.85 divided by 3 in this case. All right, so first, can number 2 over here be divided? Can 2 minus 3? No. So what we can do is we need to put 0 point. Okay, so now let's move to the second number. 28, can we divide by 3? Yes, we can. So what's the closest multiple of 3 that we can minus 28? Okay, in this case is we want to minus 20.7, right? 2.7. Okay, so that means this is 0 point. So what gives 27? 9, right? And now with this, so 2.8 minus 2.7, this will give us, right, 1. So 1 can be minus 3? No. So we can just put the next number, 15. So 15, can we minus anything that is a multiple of 3? Yes, we can, right? So we need to minus off, not 2.7, but 15. Okay, minus 15. So how do we get 15? It's 5 over here. And there we go. So this is the answer to this over here, 0. Okay, so the answer to this is 0.95 in this case over here. Okay, and there you go. The answer is 0.95. All right. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question. Question 9. Okay, so a set of lunch costs $10.28. What's the cost of 60 set lunches? Okay, so same thing. What we need to do is we need to type in one set. Okay, is equal to $10.28. Okay, so we want to have 60 sets, right? So this will be basically dollars 10.28 times 60, right? Okay, so let's do the workings for this. So to simplify this, this is the same as $10.28 times 10 times 6, right? Oops, over here. Okay, and then what we can do is we can multiply this by 10, and this essentially will be $102.80. Okay, times 6. Okay, so now we can just multiply this. So what we can do is 102.8. Okay, and then we will just say multiply by 6, something like this, right? So let me just remove these dots, and okay, so let's do these workings over here. All right, so first, what is 8 times 6? Okay, so the answer is, in this case over here, is 48, right? So we put 8 over here, we put like this, and then we put 4 at the top here, right? Okay, so next one, what is, in this case, 2 times 6, right? It's 12, but plus 4 is 16. So 2 times 4 is 12, plus 4 is 16. So for this, we will put 6. Then we will put, oops, not this. We put 1 over here. Okay, so 0 times 6 is, okay, forgot to put a dot here as well. Okay, so make sure you put the decimal point, the same position as what you see over here. Okay, so 0 times 6 is 0 plus 1. This will give us 1. And 1 times 6 is 6. So the answer to this is 616.8. And there you go. The answer is dollars, dollars 6 $616.80. So that's the answer. Okay, 616.80. So make sure to add the zero at the end because we are trying to indicate it is dollars or money. Okay, that's it for question 9. Let's move on to question 10. Question 10, container container E holds 3 times as much milk as container G. Okay, so they hold a total of 2.1 liters of milk. How much milk does container G hold? Right, so two ways you can do this. The simpler way, if you have already done this kind of question before, is to actually just type this down, right? Which is basically E. I'm just going to say E is equal to 3 units, while G is equal to 1 unit, right? If you want to draw a model, you can as well. Nothing wrong with that. So E, right, and then G, and then you draw the model. So E has 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and then G has 1 unit in this case over here, right? Nothing wrong if you want to draw a model. Okay, so now we know that E is 3 units, G is 1 unit. Then we also know that total milk is 2.1 liters. Okay, so this is 2.1 liters in this case over here, right? So what we want is we want to find G, right? In this case over here, right? How much is G? Okay, so thing is that either way, if you understand that, that's great. Okay, so I'm going to just put this like this. Okay, so E and G, right? So total is equal to 3 plus 1 equal to 4 units, right? Okay, and then we know that 4 units is equal to 2.1 liters, right? So 1 unit is equal to 2.1 and then divide, right, by 4. Okay, so to answer this, we can do our what do you call this workings again, right? So all right, so we have our workings over here. So 2.1 divided by 4, right? Or 21, no, not 21, 2.1. Okay, so let's do this. So essentially, can we have 2 minus 4? Not really. So we need a bigger number. So we have 2.1. So what is a number that we can minus off from the multiples of 4? So what we can do is we can minus 20. So 20 over here will be so 2.0. Okay, so 2 cannot, right? So essentially we'll say it over here there's 0 point. Okay, forgot on that, right? So since we cannot minus 2, that's why we put 0 point. So 2.0 or basically 20, we'll put 5, right? So 5 times 4 will give us 20. All right, and then this will give us 1. 1, 1, 1, where's the 1? Okay, so it give us 1, right? So we cannot minus 1 from 4, so we're gonna add 10, right? Can we minus 10 from 4? Yes, we can. So we will minus how much? 8, right? So minus 8. So 10 minus 8 over here. So 8 is basically 2, right? 2 times 4 is 8. And then this will give you 2, right? So same thing, 2 cannot minus 4. So what we can do is we add another 0, right? So 20. So that means the number is after 2. Then what we can do is we can minus 20 as well, right? In this case over here. So that means this will give us 0. Okay. All right. So in this case over here, 5 to 5 in this case, right? Therefore, 1 unit 2.1 divided by 4 is 5 to 5 liters, not 525 by 0.525. All right. So always double check your work. Otherwise, get it wrong. Okay. So the answer is 0.5 to 5 liters in this case over here. Alrighty, let's move on to the next question. Question 11. Okay, so in this case, it says here the usual price of a mobile phone was $1,250. During a sale, it was sold at a discount of 30%. What's the price of the mobile phone after the discount? Okay, so there's multiple ways to do this, but I will give you one way that I think is safer, I guess. So I would say original price percentage is 100%, right? Okay, then we have a discount. That discount percentage is 30%. Okay, I'll just put here. Okay, 30%. So price after discount is basically 100 minus, minus 30, and this give you 70%. Okay, now we know the price percent after discount, price percentage after discount. So now we know that it's 70% after the discount. What we can do is basically we just say price after discount, right? Price after discount, okay, is equal to, we just go here, 1250 times 70%, okay, which is basically the same as 1250 times 70 out of 100. Okay, all right, so basically we can do this. So if I were to, yeah, so 70 divided by 100. Okay, we can cancel this out. Oops, you can cancel 70, cancel 0, then cancel this, right? And then we also can cancel 10. So let me put a red one. So I'm gonna put this here, cancel 10, and then cancel the 0. Okay, so that means we can just have 125 times 70. 125 times 7. Okay, so let's do the workings for that. Okay, I changed it a little bit to look much readable. So you see 125 times 7, all right? Pretty straightforward. Okay, so we have 125 times 7 in this case over here. So 5 times 7 over here. Okay, in this case is 35, right? So we're going to put 3 over here. Oops, not the red one. I'm going to put the black one. So 3 over here. So 5 times 7, 35. Great. 2 times 7 is 14. 14 plus 3 is 17. So we're going to put 7 over here, right? So 7. All right. So 17. Then we're going to put 1 on top of 1 over here. Okay. So now 1 times 7 is 7 plus 1, 8. Okay. So 8, 875. So 1 to 5 times 7 is 875. And let's put that as well. So the answer is equal to dollars, what do you call this? 875. Okay. And that's the answer. Dollars 875. 875. Yes, sir. All righty. Let's move on to the next question. Question 12. Okay. So question 12 says the table shows postage rates for mailing letters in Singapore. Mass tab not over 20 grams, 50 grams, 100 grams, and 250 grams. So Wei Tong mailed a letter weighing 35 and another letter weighing 200 grams. How much postage did Wei Tong pay all together? So in this case over here, common mistake, right? Common mistake. Let me just not put in the middle. Is that, you know, you add, I mean, common mistake number one is I see is people add 200 grams plus 35 grams, right? Okay, so this is wrong. Can don't do this is wrong. Okay, so we're not going to do that because for this kind of postage rates we will weigh them individually. Okay, so what we can do is we can just remove the oops, we can just remove this, right? So we have 35 grams and 200 grams. Okay, secondly is that another mistake, okay, common mistake number two, right, is that you in a way divide at the step. Okay, so for example, if 20 grams is equal to dollars 0.85, then 1 gram is equal to 0.85, and then you divide, right, by 20. Okay, so we don't do that because for this, basically if we have a 35 gram, we want to know which of this we will fit in. So that means mass step not over 20 grams. So in essence, what this means is all postage that is 20 grams or less. So that is what this whole thing means, right? All postage that is 20 gram or less, then all postage, that is 50 grams or less, but more than 20 grams. Okay, so let me let me make it a little bit smaller, something like this. Okay, all postage that is 50 grams or less, but more than 20 grams. So this is how postage works. Okay, so this one is the same, right? All postage that is 100 grams or less, but more than 50 grams. And then lastly, this one as well. All postage that is 250 grams or less, but more than 100 grams. Okay, so this is what all of this means, right? Mass step not over. Okay, 250 or less, but more than 100 grams. Okay, so now in this case, knowing this, right? So I'm just gonna put common mistake 1, common mistake number 2, right? Is add the postage. Okay, so let me see, 35 gram plus 200 grams, right? Okay, so in this case, we don't want to do these two common mistakes, right? Next one is we will do the actual thing, right? So for the 5 grams, what we'll do is we want to see how much or where will it go to. So the 35 grams, let me see, put a rectangle over here. I'm going to put blue. 35 grams goes to this one, cause okay, all postage that is 50 grams or less but more than 20 grams. So this is where 35 grams is, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna put an arrow as well. Okay, so just gonna do this here like this. Okay, right, like this. So 35 grams is over here. All right, so now let's move on to the next one, 200 grams. Okay, let me put another color. So 200 grams will be where? Where do you think 200 grams is? Okay, if you say it under the 250, then you're right. Okay, so I'm going to put this over here as well. 250 grams, yes, with yellow. And then this, I'm going to also duplicate this. Yes, yes, yes. Put this on top and then put yellow here. Okay, so in a way, this is how it should look like. Okay, right? So in essence, okay, I'll just put like this and make a bit. All right, okay. So this 35 grams is like this, and 200 grams is $3.65. All right. So now with this, we can just calculate. So 35 grams, how much does it cost? This will cost us $1.05. Okay. And then for 200 grams, this will cost us, right, dollars 3.65. Okay, so total will become dollars 1.05 plus dollars 3.65. Okay, so if you can do mental math, that would be great. But always do the workings, right? So let's do the workings. So I'll have in this case 1.05. Okay, and then I'm just gonna, yeah, okay, then plus 3.65. Okay, all right, then we're gonna put a line over here, right? So we want to write down the working. So 5 plus 5 equal to 0. Okay, and then we're gonna put 1 here, right? So a little 1, right? 0 plus 6 plus 1 is 7. Okay, so we'll put 7. Okay, 70. Then this is a decimal point as well, and then 1 plus 3, this will become 4, right? Always double check your work, right? 4.70. Okay, I must write it down. Okay, see, Wrong mistake. So it's not 3.7, it's 4.7. So the answer is 4.70. That's the answer. There you go. Yes, yes. All right. Okay, very good. Let's move on to the next question. Question 13. Okay, 13 says here, tank A and tank B had an equal amount of water at first. After 25.5 liters of water from tank A and 90.3 liters of water from tank B was used, tank A had 5 times as much water left as tank B. How much water was left in tank B? That's what you see over here. All right. So we can draw this out, right? So what we can do is we can see here this is tank A and tank B, right? Then let's draw this out. So at first, okay, they have equal amounts of water, right? So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just duplicate this. All right, so first part is done. Okay, second part is after 2.5 liters of water from tank A and 90.3 liters from tank B was used, then we had 5 times as much water as tank B. So in essence, what you're going to do is for tank A, we're going to say that it's 5 times more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this will be just one more like this, right? Let me just delete this and put this over here. Oops. Oh, why is it not? Okay, never mind. Over here, right? Tank B becomes 5 times water. Yeah, so 5 times. That's what I see over here. Then we also know that, let me just add one more. Okay, at the same time, let me just expand this a bit more because I'm going to put some text in it. Okay, so that means 2.5 is gone to 25.5, right? It's gone, right? Set life. Okay, set life. And also at the same time, 90.3. So that means this whole thing must be equal after that. So 90.3. Okay, so actually, this is better to just work backwards. All right, so define 0.5 and 90.3 as what you see over here. Okay, so from this, can we solve this? Right, we can, right? So if everything here is 1 unit, oh, there you go, it says here 1 unit, right? Okay, then let me just duplicate all of this. Boop, 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 and then this as well, put it here. All right, so essentially we can solve this, right? Basically, if you minus 90.3, right? 90.3 minus 25.5, then we can actually get this, I call this number over here. So I'm just going to remove this, right? So we can get this number, which is basically 4 units, right? Okay, so in this case, what we can do is we say 4 units is equal to 90.3 minus 25.5, okay? All right, so let me just put this down over here for units. Okay, so same thing. I'm gonna have 90.3. Okay, and then we minus. So I'm gonna put this as this. Okay, then we minus 25.5. Okay, so let's make this a little bit bigger. All right. Okay, so 90.3 minus 25.5. So 3 minus 5 cannot, right? So we put what do you call this? Number 1 over here. Okay, this is a bit smaller. So 13 minus 5. We can't have 0. So we need to cancel this. So this will become, what's my line? Okay, my line is here. We cancel this. This should be 9. And then we cancel this. This should be 8. Righty. Okay. So it becomes like this. Okay. So 13 minus 5. In this case, this will become 8. Right? 13 minus 5 is 8. Okay. 9 minus 5 becomes to 4. And then 8 minus 2 is 3. So the answer is 34.8. In this case over here. So now we know that 4 units is 34.8 liters. Okay. So now we want to know how much it is tank B. So if I were to delete all of this highlighting, okay, so how much water was left is basically 1 unit over here. Right? So basically we need to divide lah, right? So in this case, 1 unit is equal to 34.8, and then we divide it by 4. Okay, and what will this be equal to? okay, one thing that I miss out. Wrong, 8 minus 2 is not 3. I don't know why I put 3. And 6. Okay, 64.8 liters. Okay, all right. Luckily, we see this mistake, right? All right, I was just testing you guys. Kidding, kidding. All right, but either way, 64 divided by 8, we're going to do some workings, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is, right, so we're just going to have a line, and then we're going to have another line. Okay, so 64.8 divided by 4. Okay, so with this, we can minus 6 with 4. So this will be 1. Okay, so we minus 4 in this case, right? Then this will give us 6 minus 4. This will give us 2, right? So 2 over here, right? 2 cannot minus 4, so we need to bring down 4, 24. So we need to minus 24, right? So 24, so 4 divided by 24, this is 6, right? 6 over here, right? This should be over here. Okay, and then the last part is we bring down 8, right? So 8 over here. So we can actually minus 4 from 8. So minus 8, and this will give us 0 in this case over here, right? Okay, and then this give us 0. Oops. Okay, so this give us 0, 0. Very nice 0. Okay, so this will give us 16.2. All right, 16.2 16.2 liters, right? So, and that's it. So the answer to this is 16.2 liters. 6.2 liters in this case over here. Alrighty, let's move on to the next question. Oh, last question. All right, nice. Question 14. All right, Shirley's baked 400 cookies over here. Okay, Shanice baked 400 cookies on Monday. 30% of the cookies she baked on Monday were chocolate cookies. I love chocolate cookies. And the rest were peanut cookies. Maybe not a big fan of peanut cookies. So she baked another 100 chocolate cookies on Tuesday. All right. So how many chocolate cookies did she bake altogether on Monday and Tuesday? So we see here Monday over here. So we want to have chocolate cookies. Okay, so first, let's write it down. Okay, we always want to summarize, right? So on total cookies on Monday is equal to 400. Okay, so we know that the percentage of Monday cookies, chocolate cookies, chalk cookies, let's put that, is 30%. All right. Okay, so that means how much is the Monday chalk cookies, right? Oops. Okay, so that means we just basic have 400 times 30%. Okay, so essentially we look something like this, right? 400 times, and then we're gonna put 30% as a fraction. Okay, right? So I'm gonna put 30 of 100 as what you see over here, and then we can cancel stuff out. Cancel. All right, so let's cancel the first 0. Okay, and then over here, then let's also cancel another 0. Let's put in red, another 0, 10. And then we will also cancel the 0 over here. So essentially, we just want to have 40 times 3. Okay, so in this case, I'm just gonna put it here, put it below, which is basically equal to 40 times 3, which is 120 cookies, right? So this is Monday only. So you might be thinking, oh, the answer is 120. No. So we are looking for Monday and Tuesday. Ooh, it's red. Nice. Okay, so Monday and Tuesday, right? So that means we know that there is Monday chocolate chip cookies, right? So next is we want to get a total from Tuesday as well. Okay, so Tuesday, we also have 100 chocolate chip cookies as well. So that means in this case, total is equal to, right, 100 plus 120, and this gives us 220. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. addition lah, right? Okay, so the answer is 220 in this case over here. Alrighty, and then the last question. Okay, in this case, what percentage of the cookies she baked were peanut cookies at the end of 2 days, right? So at the end of 2 days, we need to calculate the number of total cookies for 2 days, which is Monday and Tuesday, and then also get the peanut cookies that we have, right? So in this case, what we can do is we want to get the peanut cookies. So peanut cookies, right? And there's only peanut cookies on Monday. So Tuesday, we don't really have any peanut cookies because I think she realized nobody likes peanut cookies. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. Peanut cookies is equal to, right? So we can just minus off 400, the total amount of cookies that we have over here. Oops. Right. The total number of cookies, right? 400. And then we just minus 120 lah. Okay. So with this 400 minus 120, okay, and this give us 380, right? So 380 cookies, not 300, sorry, 280, right? Always use your calculation correctly, huh? So 280 for peanut cookies, and then we want to get the total cookies from 2 days, right? And this will become, so we have a total of, in this case, 400 cookies on Monday and 100 cookies on Tuesday. So we're going to have 400 plus 100. Okay. So in this case, 400 plus 100, and this will give us 500 total cookies. All right. And the last one is we want to make it into a percentage. So percent, whoops, not dollars, percent of peanut cookies is equal to 280. Then we divide it by total 500, and then we multiply by 100. Okay, so in this case, what we can do is we can just have the 2.8. Okay, essentially, right? Essentially, it is the same as 280 divided by 500 is 280 out of 500 as a fraction, right? So that you actually can start with a fraction. Actually, doesn't doesn't really affect that much, but yes. Okay, so this, right, and then we can multiply by 100. Okay, so just x 100. That's what you see over here. All right, then what we can do is we can make this into a simple what do you call this? Make this into what do you call this? Out of 100. So how we can do that is essentially if I were to do a side working over here, right? 280 out of, okay, actually I can just copy this, right? Right? So 280, this whole thing is actually equal to, if we cancel out the zeros, it's the same as 28 out of 50, right? Same, right? Okay. And also this means that, oops, I don't want this. Okay. Okay, that means this is also equal to, if we were to times 2 for both, because 50 times 2 is 100. Times 2 is 100. Times 2 is 100. So that means this whole thing. So 50 times 100 is 100. Then 28 times 2 is 56. Okay. So that means in this case over here, we can say this is equal to, oops. Okay, oops. Yeah, so we can just put this here, 56 out of 100 times 100. And this will give us 56%. Yay. That's it. So that's the answer. 56%. Make sure you put the percent as well. There you go. So that's the answer over here. Can we put here? Right. All right, that's it for this. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more of this kind of video, subscribe down below and comment down what other papers you want me to go through next. See you in the next one. Bye bye.